Under the hard sun of Dust Vale, the town was quiet except for the sound of boots on dry earth and the cry of a small boy. His name was Eli. He was 8 years old, and his face was red from dust and tears. His mother, Mary Dalton, was tied to a wooden post outside the general store, ropes cut into her wrists. The heat was burning her skin. She was accused of stealing coins from a merchant, even though she had done nothing wrong. Mary had lived her whole life working for others. She washed clothes for the townspeople and cared for Eli alone since his father died every day. She woke before sunrise, worked till her hands bled, and came home with barely enough food to feed her child. But in this town, hard work meant little. Once someone whispered, "Against you." The merchant claimed that a few silver coins were gone from his counter. He said he saw Mary near his stall, and the townsfolk believed him. No one asked her side of the story. The sheriff was quick to act and cruel to those without power. He told her to confess or stay tied under the sun until she did. As the day passed, the people went about their lives pretending not to see her tied there. Some watched from their porches, others shook their heads, but no one helped. Eli tried to pull the ropes himself, but he was too small. He ran from one door to another begging for help. "Please help my mom, she didn't steal." He cried, but every door stayed shut. Every person turned away. The air shimmered with heat. The sky was a burning white, and Mary's lips were dry and cracked. Her voice barely came out when she called for her son Eli. "Stay in the shade," she whispered. But he would not leave her side. He held her skirt and cried against the dust from the far end of the road. A horse came slowly, its rider a man dressed in worn leather, his hat low against the sun. The man was a cowboy traveling west. His name was Cole Havers. His clothes were covered with road dust, and his eyes were sharp and calm. He slowed when he saw the boy, standing in the middle of the road waving both hands. "Please, sir, help my mom." The boy cried she didn't steal. Cole stopped his horse. He looked at the woman tied to the post, and the crowd watching in silence. He could see the cruelty plain as day. He climbed down and handed his horse's reins to Eli. His boots thudded against the hard ground as he walked toward the post. The sheriff was leaning by the door of the general store, arms crossed, spitting tobacco. He looked at Cole like a man who didn't care what anyone thought. "This doesn't concern you, stranger," the sheriff said. Cole stopped a few feet away. "What did she do?" he asked. "Stole coins from the merchant," the sheriff said flatly. "We're teaching her a lesson. Did anyone see her do?" The sheriff's mouth twitched. "No, but everyone knows she did it. She's been struggling for money." Cole turned his eyes to Mary. She looked up weakly, her face covered with dust, her hands trembling. She whispered, "I didn't take anything, sir. I swear." Cole's jaw tightened. He looked at the merchant, then at the sheriff. The crowd was whispering. No one wanted to speak too loud. Cole's voice dropped low. "You tie up a woman in the sun without proof." The sheriff straightened. "Watch your tongue. Cowboy, this is town business." Cole didn't move. His hand rested near his belt, but not on his gun. His voice stayed calm. "Where are the coins?" The merchant stammered. "They're gone. She must have hidden them." "Then search her house if you're so sure," Cole said coldly. Merchant looked away. No one answered. The cowboy stepped closer. The air felt heavy. The sun beat down and a wind of dust rolled through the street. The people waited to see what he would do. He took out his knife slowly and walked toward Mary. The sheriff took a step forward, but Cole's eyes stopped him. He sliced through the ropes that held her wrists and caught her before she could fall. She was too weak to stand. He lifted her gently, his arms strong but careful. The crowd murmured. Some looked ashamed, others looked away. Cole carried her toward his horse, giving her water from his canteen. She drank only a little, then fainted in his arms. Eli ran after them, crying. "Mama, Mama!" Cole placed her on a blanket in the shade beside the road. He spoke softly to the boy. "She'll be fine, son. She just needs rest and water." Eli nodded, still crying. Cole's eyes went to the town. He saw faces peeking from windows. No one dared come closer. He turned back to the sheriff, his voice hard. "Next time you want to punish someone, you better have proof." The sheriff scowled but said nothing. He knew the stranger meant every word. As the sun set over Dust Vale, Cole built a small fire near his camp outside town. Mary slept under a borrowed coat. Eli sat, Beside her, holding her hand, Cole cooked beans quietly, his movements calm and steady when Eli looked up at him. He smiled a little. "You're a brave kid," he said. "Most folks would have given up." Eli shook his head. "I couldn't leave her. She's my mom." Cole nodded. "That's how it should be." He looked into the fire for a while, then said, "We'll find out who really took those coins. She won't suffer for another man's lie." The night grew cool and still. The sound of crickets filled the dark. Mary stirred in her sleep, whispering her son's name. Cole covered her shoulders with a blanket and watched the stars above the prairie. He had seen many wrongs in his travels, but something about that little boy's voice stayed in his heart. When morning came, the sun rose red over the desert hills. Mary opened her eyes, weak but alive. Cole saddled his horse and told Eli, "Keep her safe. I'll be back soon." He rode toward town, his mind set on one thing: truth. He had no badge, no title, but he carried something stronger than both: a man's sense of right and the will to stand alone against the crowd. And for the first time in years, Dustvale would remember that justice could still come riding in on a horse, dusty, silent, and unafraid. The next morning, the town of Dustvale woke to whispers. Everyone talked about the stranger who had untied the widow and walked away without fear. Some said he would be back. Others said he would ride on and forget. But they were wrong. Cole Havers did not forget. He rode into town again, his face set like stone. The sun was still low, but the heat was already sharp. He stopped in front of the merchant's store and tied his horse to the post, the same one where Mary had been tied the day before. People watched from windows. Cole ignored them. He stepped inside the store. The merchant looked up, nervous seeing him again. Cole's calm voice filled the room. "I came to ask again how you lost your coins." The merchant stuttered. "I told you yesterday. They were taken from my counter. I turned for a moment and they were gone." "You saw the woman here?" Cole asked. "She was walking by," the merchant said quickly. "I thought she looked strange." Cole's eyes narrowed. "That is all you have, just a thought?" He walked outside and looked at the ground. His eyes searched the dirt near the back door behind the store. He saw small footprints leading away. Not a woman's steps. They were smaller, lighter. He followed them down a narrow path between two sheds. The prints stopped near a barrel there. He found a torn piece of cloth and a few crumbs of bread. Cole waited quietly. A few minutes later, a small movement caught his eye behind the barrels. A boy no older than 10 was hiding his face, pale, his clothes dirty and torn. He froze when Cole spoke softly. "Come out, son. I'm not here to hurt you." The boy stepped forward, his hands shaking. He was holding a small pouch of coins. Cole crouched down. "You took them, didn't you?" The boy's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean to steal. I was hungry." Cole looked at him a long moment. He saw the truth in his face. He sighed. "You could have asked for help." The boy whispered, "Nobody gives to beggars." Cole nodded sadly. "You're right, they don't. But it still wasn't right what you did." The boy lowered his head. "Please don't take me to jail. I'll die there." Cole thought for a moment, then said, "Come with me." He took the boy gently by the arm and led him toward the center of town. The townsfolk gathered. Quickly, as they saw him return beside him, walked the small thief head down. Cole's deep voice cut through the crowd. "This is the one who took the coins, not the widow." The merchant's face went pale. He looked at the boy, then at Cole. "Is that true?" The boy nodded, crying, "I took them. I was hungry. I'm sorry." The crowd went silent. The sheriff stepped out of his office, looking uneasy. Cole stared at him hard. "You punished the wrong person. She almost died under your watch." The sheriff swallowed his pride and looked at Mary, who had come walking slowly from her cabin with Eli beside her. Her wrists were bandaged, but her eyes were strong. She stood before the people without anger, just tired sadness. The sheriff said, "I made a mistake, ma'am. I'm sorry." She nodded, once her voice quiet. "I just want to live in peace with my son." The merchant tried to speak, but his words fell apart. He handed her a small bag of money to make amends. She didn't take it. She said, "I don't want your coins. I just want the truth known." Cole looked around at the people who had watched and done nothing. He said in a voice steady and cold, "You all saw her suffer, and none of you spoke. Shame on you." No one answered. Some turned away. Some hung their heads. Even the sheriff had no words. Mary took Eli's hand and walked home. The crowd slowly broke apart, leaving only Cole standing in the middle of the dusty street. The boy who had stolen the coins stayed close to him. Cole looked down at him and said, "You're coming with me. We'll get you some food and find you a place that isn't full of hate." The boy nodded through tears that evening. Cole brought the boy to Mary's small cabin. Eli was surprised to see him, but Mary's heart was gentle. She gave the boy a piece of bread and let him sit by the fire. Cole said he'll work to pay for it. He's learned his lesson. Mary smiled faintly. Every soul deserves a chance to be better. The sun dipped low and painted the sky. Red Cole stood by. The door his horse ready to ride, Eli ran out and held his arm. "Don't go, please stay." Cole smiled, the kind of smile that came slow and tired. "I've got miles to ride, son, but I'll come back when the wind brings me this way again." He took off his hat and placed it on Eli's head, big and loose but full of pride. Mary came to the door, her eyes soft. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You saved us." Cole shook his head. "Your boy saved you. He never stopped believing." She looked down at Eli and nodded. "Yes, he did." Cole climbed onto his horse and turned toward the horizon. The wind lifted the dust behind him. The town watched as he rode away. No one stopped him. But something had changed in Dustvale that day. People spoke softer. They looked at each other longer, and they remembered the woman who'd been tied in the sun, and the stranger who stood against them all days later. Mary planted flowers beside her door, bright yellow ones that grew strong. Even in the heat, she told Eli, "Every time you see them, remember that kindness is stronger than fear." The boy nodded, holding the hat his mother had fixed for him. The little thief stayed with them, working in the fields, learning to smile again, and far away on the road. West, a cowboy rode alone. Across the desert sky, he didn't look back, but in his heart he carried the picture of a boy's tears, a woman's courage, and the quiet truth that one man's mercy could change a whole town forever.